Yeah, and it's just equity-based compensation, basically. So, pros and cons of equity-based compensation. All right.
Welcome back. Joining us virtually is our financial expert, Nick Sapienza. Nick, good afternoon.
Hey, Taylor, good to see you.
Good to have you. So today we're tackling equity-based compensation. Pros, cons, what is it?
Yeah, it's a great question. This is one of my favorite topics right now. So the way I think about it is equity-based compensation is essentially a big picture way to pay employees. And I also think it says a lot about the company's leadership, and I'll get into that in a second. So generally, it just means that you're going to be paid a salary plus maybe some stock options or partnership or just some sort of ownership and equity within the company. And there's pros and cons to both and for both parties. So for businesses, the pros would be that, it allows it to conserve cash for other expenses, growth opportunities, and maybe reduce ongoing payroll obligations that would have had otherwise. For some bootstrapped startups, this might be the only option that they have to attract and retain the right talent. So it's really skin in the game, shared risk on both sides. And it can kind of create this win-win scenario for the employee and the business. What else is pretty cool about it is that it'll tie the employees to the success of the business and really make them more incentivized to work harder for the company, for example. So employees, I guess owners always want their employees to act like they have ownership, to act like owners, and this is just making it real. This is making them owners. So it can have this flywheel effect where, maybe the value of the company could increase because the employees are so dedicated to the company and they work harder for it, take more pride in their work. Then they have, extra cash to where they can hire more talent, take advantage of more growth opportunities. And then it's kind of like success begets success.
Yeah.
So maybe that enables employees to reap a greater return in the future. And I really can't think of a better way, to attract and retain the right type of people and the right talent. And in this competitive landscape with the way companies are shifting now and the way employees are demanding, their mentality is very much, pay me in equity, pay me in equity.
Mm-hmm.
That's really where we're seeing a lot of this go. The cons, the downside, it's kind of the forest for the trees. Every situation is going to be different, but equity-based compensation is always going to be more complicated than cash. There's other parties that need to be involved. There's tax implications for both sides of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's always the risk that you could end up giving up too much ownership. So you need to have your feet firmly planted on the ground and make sure that you have that right balance. When it comes to the employee side, there's luck involved with joining the right firm. You're at the mercy of the company, the field, the leadership,
Yeah.
and then the timing. So it could be like a tech versus energy scenario, which that looked like over the last decade, where you obviously much rather be involved in the tech space. The bottom line is you can minimize that regret as an employee. There's different ways to do that by just making sure that it doesn't eat up too much of your net worth. It's just a regret minimization scenario, but ultimately I think it's one of the best ways to work with the company and for companies to compensate their employees.
Absolutely. And you explained it so wonderfully. Nick, thank you so much for joining us virtually this afternoon.
Thank you.
All right, if you want to rewatch this, don't worry. We're going to post this on our website, klaf.com. Don't go anywhere. Adam is back with a last look at your forecast after this.